Ukrainian troops on the front lines in the Donbass have told the BBC that Russian forces are learning every day and changing their strategy, as they continue to gain ground around the heavily contested town of Bakhmut. But the soldiers also insisted that morale remains high, despite growing exhaustion after almost a year of war. The two Ukrainian soldiers swept into the room, still visibly flushed with adrenaline, having just driven straight from the furiously active front lines along the rolling, snow-covered hills further south. Peering over a giant map at their brigade's temporary headquarters, they jabbed at the spots where Russian forces were inching forwards towards a key road. They were about 400 meters, 437 yards, from us, across the field just here. "We're holding on, but it's getting harder," said Sergeant Denis Kalchik from the all-volunteer Dnipro-1 battalion, going on to describe how Russian infantry, fighter jets and artillery units appeared to be operating with growing coordination and effectiveness around Bakhmut. "The planes are the worst. You can't hear them until it's too late. It's the same with the tanks. Artillery is easier. At least you might have a second or two to dive for cover after you hear them coming," said Sergeant Kalchik. Assessing the overall state of the conflict across the Donbass is extremely difficult. Access is challenging and dangerous, and dozens of different Ukrainian battalions and brigades are working on separate tasks, amid some secrecy, spread out along hundreds of miles of often fast-changing front lines. But after several weeks traveling across the region, and more than a dozen on-the-record interviews and frank off-the-record discussions with a broad range of Ukrainian soldiers, I have seen various themes emerging. For weeks, Russia's notorious mercenary group Wagner has led much of the fighting around Bakhmut, sustaining catastrophic numbers of casualties by launching near-suicidal mass infantry attacks on smaller towns like Soledar. But in recent days, according to some Ukrainian soldiers, Russia's regular army has resumed a more prominent role, with noticeable effect. "It is very hard for us now. We understand that Russia is learning every day and changing their strategy. And I think we need to learn faster," said Dmytro Podvorchansky, who heads a reconnaissance unit in Dnipro-1.